Okay, hey everybody, welcome to this evening's stream. Hopefully, as always, you can hear me okay and the visuals and things work out okay. But if there are any issues, do let us know in the chat and we'll do our best to fix those as we go along. So this evening, we're going to be continuing sort of like a breakdown walkthrough. So last week, we went through kind of the basic mode and really started to break down the various steps of how you can make games in basic mode. And we thought actually what would be really useful this week would be to break down some of the stock packages. So if you go to the community tab, you can see that there's a series of packages available there, which are flagged as Crayta packages. And these are also some of the packages that come with the starter games. So anytime you create a starter game, if you were to explore the world tree, you'd notice that there's a bunch of script folders in place, various items of logic, things on the players, the users, all those things predefined. So we thought what would be useful with that would be to jump in and actually start having a look at those and see how you can include those in your games if they're not with the starter game, or just how you can generally start to play, kind of play with those and really create your own gameplay experiences. So we're in our game here. So today I'm going to be joined by Adam and Maggie. So do you guys want to say hello?
Hello.
Hiya.
Cool. Okay. So what we're starting from here is essentially it's an empty game. So this time we've created this from the empty game preset, which is going to give us a slate, kind of just this area to play with and nothing else other than a spawn point to start from. And we can prove that by pressing F5. Sorry to disrupt whoever was playing along there. Okay. So as we can see,
you can't stop me.
There we go. I press F5 and we're straight into the gameplay side of things, but there's nothing running here. There's nothing happening. So what we'll do is we'll return to the editor. I love the way you guys leave those pineapples behind. And then what we'll do is we'll carry on and we'll start implementing games. So Adam and Maggie are going to be in the background building out the world. So if you guys wanted to just crack on with that, that'd be great. The game we're going to end up with is a sort of, I'm calling it treasure hunters. So the idea is the players will need to go out and find treasure as well as battle each other to try and find some treasure and sell it at the shop. And as I said, all of this is going to come from from this empty slate, just installing packages which are available in the store. So while you guys do that, what I'm going to do, one thing I should probably mention as well is I'm going to stay in basic mode this whole time. So I'm going to be on the PC, so I'm going to be using keyboard and mouse, but I'm going to stay out of the advanced mode just to show how it is possible from the basic mode. There might be a couple of things that Adam helps me with from the advanced side of things. But generally I'm going to stay in the basic mode just to show how you can kind of use it from that. So anything you see me do should also be possible from the controller and therefore on the Chromecast and that sort of thing. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my library. I'm going to go to the community tab up here and I'm going to install the first package that I want to look at, which is the inventory. So if I search for that, we see we've got a Crayta package, and next to that we see a small Crayta icon, which is tells me that this is one of the stock packages that comes with Crayta. So this wasn't written by the community. This is one that we sort of officially support. So that's not to say you couldn't ever write your own. You could always write your own from scratch or use one written by the community. This is just the one that you'll find in any of the starter games. So I'm going to click install and that's going to install that for me. Okay, so if I return to my library now and go to templates, we see that we've got a couple of extra things appeared. And we know that these things have come from a package because we get this small box in the top corner. Okay, so the player and the user are two templates that came with the starter game. And again, they would come with any of the other starter games. And then the other two things are things that have been downloaded just now. Okay, so first thing we want to do is we want to set up our user. So if I double click on the user, that's just going to go through. All right, if I close this, we'll just see my drone coming out there. Okay, so I've got my user template here. Okay, so for anyone who isn't aware, so templates are sort of instanced entities. So we've perhaps got a collection of entities which we can template up and have available in the library, or we have these two kind of special cases which come with most games, which are the user and the player. So the best way to think of those two things are the user is essentially the human that's playing the game, so the actual Stadia player that's logged in playing, and the player template is the character, the avatar, the sort of the 3D character that we see on screen. So the user will always be there. It's a persistent template which is sort of logged into the game, and the player is a can be destroyed. When the player gets killed, for example, they will respawn anew. So that's the best way to sort of think of those two things separately. Okay, so for the user, what we want to do is we want to go to this add to entity option here. Okay, create a child, and you'll notice that normally here you would see a whole list of other things, so like lights, meshes, sounds. For the user, the only thing we can actually attach to the user, because they don't have a physical representation in game, the only thing we can attach here is a script folder. The script folder is a collection of scripts. Okay, so if we choose script folder, we could either choose to add a new one, or what we actually see below that is a list of other templates that are available in the game. So we know that the user inventory and the player inventory are ones that just came from our package. All I need to do to set that up is hit user inventory. Okay, and if I just click template tree up here, we can see that we've now got this child of user inventory. If I return to entity, we can see that user inventory has been added with these default options. Okay, so a few parameters here that we can interface with. So from basic mode, we can't actually access the script, but because the script was written in such a way that it exposed some of these properties, we can now actually start to play with these properties and change things to really sort of define and craft the way that we want it to be in our game. So for example, if you wanted to only have one item at a time, you'd select this to be 1. And then that means that the inventory would only have 1 capacity. Okay, for this I want it to be a little bit bigger, so maybe we'll go up to 5. Okay, there's a couple of other options here. So default loadouts, so you can add sort of loadouts and things, and that's starting to touch upon the more advanced functionality of the inventory. So you perhaps need to use the advanced mode to set up various loadouts there. On inventory updated, so you might want some logic in your game to do with when the inventory updates, a piece of UI appears, or the sound is played, or anything like that you might want to run through and check in Lua. So there's an event system there that you can hook up to however it is you really want to define the inventory script. And this option here, replace item if full. So that's quite a useful one, again, especially for basic mode players. If you perhaps have a game where players can collect lots of items, instead of refusing any more items when the inventory is full, instead what this will do is it will swap the one they currently have selected. I think in this case, we're going to leave that unchecked. Okay, so if we go back to the template tree, we see that also automatically underneath this user inventory, we've got our default script folder. If I just click there and go back to entity, so we see this script folder comes with this option or this script called inventory default script. Now this is where you will set up all of the default things. So a lot of people will have started making things like our free-for-all games or capture the flag, a lot of those shooter templates, and you'll notice that every time you start with with the assault rifle, the gun, if you ever wanted to change that, all you'd need to do is go to edit the user entity. Okay, click on your template tree and find this default script folder, and then in here you would select the template that you'd want them to have. So if it was a different template, you could also change the number. So if you wanted them to have more than one of that template, or you could simply click the cross here to remove this script entirely. I think let's just do that. What that means is we're not actually going to equip anything. If you wanted the player to start with 3 or 4 different items, you could add 3 or 4 copies of that inventory default script, and each one define the template you want them to start with. And then when we start the game, it would compile that list into the things that the player is going to start with. So we'll leave it clear for now, but we'll perhaps check in on that a little bit later. Okay, so that's that set straightforward on the user. If I just come back here, I can see that the guys making pretty good progress on this jungle already. So good job there. Okay, so we've got our player. So now if we double click player, we get to the same sort of screen. Okay, so here we can see we've got a similar panel down the side. So this is our properties for our player template. And our player template comes with a very different set of properties. So these are all the things that will define the way our character behaves in game. So for example, the speed multiplier, whether they can jump, whether they can sprint, how high they jump. A lot of stuff here around the camera, so the type of camera we have, whether they can aim down sights. All those things are available there for you to play with. But what we want to do is we want to go back to this add to entity option. Okay, and again, we see now we've got a lot more options, so we can attach things like effects and sounds and lights to the player because they do have a physical representation in game. But we want to go back to script folder, and then we know we've got this player inventory view. Okay, so you should see here in the background that's just appeared at the bottom is this sort of behind my editor hotbar. We've got this hotbar, which is the actual view that we see in game. Okay, and now we see that our properties have updated. So if I look back at this template tree, we see that we've got the script folder that's been built under the player. And in here we have two things. We have the script and a widget, which is our UI widget. Okay, and there's nothing really to change here actually. We'll leave this here for now, and we'll perhaps update this a little bit later on. But for now, we know that we've got this UI to appear at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to preview in a sec, and we'll show that off if you guys are ready.
Sure, yeah.
Yep, so I'm going to press F5. Okay, so what we see now, again, is there's no gameplay running, but we now see we've got this hotbar across the bottom. So that's telling us that we've got our UI ready. So I can use L1, R1 on a controller, or the curly braces to sort of toggle back and forth along that to select the various items. So quite simply, we can install that package, attach a couple of script folders to various places, and then we have an inventory that's ready to start being populated with things. So let's jump back to the editor to check those out. Okay, so one thing we might want to do now is introduce a weapon to the players. So if we go back to our community tab and let's just search for gun. And again, we'll see gun is an option here. There's also other guns that people have made. So we've got banana gun here, physics gun, new combat guns. So there's a whole bunch of things here to play with, which will be worth kind of exploring and starting to sort of get to grips with what people have been making. But we'll stick with this Crayta package gun for now. Okay, so if I go to my templates, we see that we've got this gun template now. If I just double click that, so here we see we've got this weapon that's come with a few different things. So again, this being a template means it's a collection of various entities. So we've got a locator here, which will define the kind of the barrel of the gun. We've got a trigger box that surrounds it, so that's to help with kind of collecting and picking it up, and the mesh itself. And the mesh itself also comes with a series of scripts. So if I just collapse these, we can see we've got the gun script, the inventory item spec script, which is actually also part of the inventory package. So we're starting to see here how these packages can kind of work together. So the inventory script is going to look at this inventory item spec script to get certain things about the gun. So for example, the name of the gun, whether it works as currency. You might have a game where the characters collect and sell guns, for example. You can have whether they can stack. So whether you can have more than one in an inventory slot. So you might only want them to be able to carry one gun per slot, or as many as you'd like per slot. The grip determines how the player will hold it. And the icon asset is the icon that will appear in the inventory and shop and such things. So we can see there that's one script that it's already attached to this gun, and that's how they can kind of work together there. Another important script to note here is the pickup spawner script. So this is a really good script for creating things like collectibles and defining how the pickups and things work in game. So a lot of the time you might want to have a weapon that's not necessarily equipped to the player when we start, but instead we want it to be something that is there for players to collect in game. So we can change a few things here to just get that going. So let's say rotate time, 6 seconds. So what that means is it's going to do a full rotation in 6 seconds to create like a nice spinning pickup effect. Okay, whether it respawns, so after it's been collected, do we want it to reappear or do we want it to just be gone? And then the time, kind of a min and max time. If I just lower this one, let's say 20 seconds. So any time between 20 seconds and a minute after it's been collected, another one will respawn, just to create a bit of a kind of randomness to it. Okay, so the last thing I want to check here is this show on init. So if you've got game logic, you might want to, for example, have an event that says when the round starts, we want to show all the pickups, but before that, because the players are in a lobby, for example, we don't want them to appear. So working with the game script, this would be quite nice. But I think for this game, we're going to stay clear of that sort of thing. And what we'll actually do is we'll just check this, which means that when the game starts, that's going to be available straight away as something that players can pick up. Okay, so that's fairly straightforward. So that's hopefully that ready to be added to the game. So if I now close this. Okay, and I've got my gun on my hotbar. So let's just run and place one near this water edge. Okay, and then if I interact with this, go to the gun. Okay, and then I'm just going to move this off the floor. So we'll set that to 50. I guess that's our pickup. Oh, there's a lot of water that's just appeared around me.
Oh, sorry, I flooded the place.
You flooded
I'll
it.
sort it in a sec.
Cool. Okay, that's that. So we can see that's one weapon pickup that we've just managed to place there. That's our spawn point. I'm just going to move. Oh, that's not a spawn point. That's the group for trees. That's Adam keeping the world tree nice and tidy.
There we go.
Okay, cool. Right, so I'm just going to hit preview quickly.
Cool.
Okay, so what we can see is if we're coming over here, we can see we've got this weapon now that's spinning on a 6-second loop. Okay, and if I interact with that, so if I press E to interact, I've now picked that up, and you'll notice at the bottom of the screen, my inventory now shows that I have one gun in that slot. And I can toggle through to the other slots to unequip it and go back there to equip it. And this is now a fully working weapon. It's kind of out of the box, works with the player, so I can shoot that. What you will notice though is Adam, I can shoot Adam as long as I want, but I assume you're not taking any damage there, Adam. Nothing's going to happen.
No, only, mentally hurt by this experience.
I invite you to my game to shoot you.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So the next thing we probably want to look at is adding some health to the players. So let's go back and have a look at that. Okay, cool. So now we've got that in place. We want to go back to our community tab and let's have a look for health. Okay, so again, create a health package, install that. Okay, so player health, we see that is come as another sort of folder. So if I go to my player, okay, and then again, I'm going to scroll to the bottom and go add to entity, create child script folder. And we see we've got a few things starting to pile up here, but player health is one I can add. So I check the template tree and I can see that player health is now a child of the player template. Okay, and again, similar to the inventory, this is going to come with a script which can power kind of how that interacts with the game, and a widget which is going to be the health bar. So if I just hide myself for a moment. Okay, so there we can see that we have a health bar that sits kind of behind me. So that's kind of come with the game. So again, that's kind of fully working health bar. The fact that that's our UI, and that's kind of using the inbuilt HTML editor, you can completely change this to fit however you'd like the game to be. So you might want that to be a blue health bar. You might want it to be positioned somewhere else on the screen. You might want it to act like a world space UI, so you can change it to world and have it sit around near players or on a wall somewhere. So that's just kind of the way the game gives it to you. But again, if you're a more advanced player, you can really start to take that and kind of customize it to how you want the game to be. So we see we've also got a series of things here that we can play with. So we can change the maximum HP, so it starts as 1,000. We can have a checkbox here for recovering health, which I think is quite nice. So I'm going to check that. So if you're in a firefight, you manage to escape. You'll notice here by checking that, we actually get a few more options up here. So the recovery rate and the delay before you start recovering. Okay, whether you can die or not. So you might want health, but you might not necessarily want the players to die. You know, you can kind of start to link that into the way you want your game to play and perform. Okay, and then a series of messages which will be formatted in the notifications and things if you've got that installed. I wouldn't worry too much about playing with these. I think they're kind of set up in quite a nice default way, especially if you sort of get into grips with this. If you did want to, then feel free to obviously just update any of these texts, jump into preview and just see how they look. So I think that's probably where we'll leave that one for now. So if I go back, yeah, so now we've all got health, we should start to take damage. So I'm just going to preview one more time. Okay, so I've got my gun. And where's Adam or Maggie?
Oh, yeah, come on, don't pick on me.
Okay, are you taking damage?
Yep.
There we go.
I
okay.
am dead.
So we see that will now handle that, so we can kind of shoot Adam until the point where he runs out of health. But you'll notice now he hasn't actually respawned, so he's now stuck kind of floating off this rock forever. So what we need to do is go back to the editor and install our next package, which is the user automatic respawn package. Okay, so again, let's go to community and let's have a look for auto, and it should come up at the top. So we've got a couple here, so auto save and auto respawn. Okay, so auto respawn, let's install this. Okay, and once again, we'll see we've got a user spawn, so another thing that's appeared here for us to attach to the user. So just like before, we'll go add to entity, traits, child script folder, user spawn. Okay, so here again, we've got a bunch of properties here. So each time we're installing this, we're really starting to increase the number of properties and sort of possibilities that we can make for our game to really start to make it unique. So one thing we want to set up here is a player template, so we know which kind of template it is we're spawning. Okay, so we're going to spawn a player. Okay, and then we want to define a spawn point. In fact, let's leave that. I think if we leave that blank, what it will do is it will pick sort of a random one. So what we want to do is respawn's active, spawn on login. Okay, and on user died. So one thing I said before is actually quite cool with the gameplay is if when you perhaps die, when you kill another player, is if they drop everything, if they lose all their inventory. So one way to do that would be this on user died event. Okay, so when this user dies, we want to add an event. We're going to add to the user inventory, so we can use this drop down here to find user inventory and reset. So what that will do is that will reset the player's inventory back to default. Okay, and actually I think what will make it a bit of a fair fight rather than just first player to the gun, we go back to our user inventory defaults tab. Okay, and then if we want to add, and instead of creating a child of this, we're going to go to this add option and add a new script, which is the inventory default script. So the one that we took away before, we're going to add that back again now. Okay, and then we can see we've got this gun option now. What will happen is when we spawn, that gun will be available in our inventory straight away. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to press F5 again now. Okay, so now we should see that we all spawn with a gun and we've all got a health bar.
Yay, got a chance now.
So if you wanted to get your revenge, okay, we see that my health just disappeared and I respawn back at the beginning. Okay, that's enough of that. So hopefully there you can see, so what we've been about 25 minutes and all we've done is introduced a few packages, sort of hooked them up to various players. And we're very quickly actually, I think the guys have done a great job around me, but created this pretty cool little jungle environment. And we've managed to introduce things like the inventory system, the weapons, the spawning, the health, all those things just kind of using our stock packages. Okay, cool. Right, that's me back. Right, so what do we want to do next? I think now we've got that, let's have a look at our shop. So having the shop is quite a big part of the game I'd like to introduce. And obviously I think a lot of the starter games come with things like the health and all that stuff, but there's the adventure comes with the shop, but actually the shop is available in the community tab for players to really pull into their own games and start to kind of craft how they want them to play. So let's go to community and let's search for shop. Okay, and again we get this Crayta package here. Okay, so if we're in templates and we're searching shop, we see that we got three things with this. We got a player shop, which is our script folder for the player. We got a shop template, which will be the shop itself, and a shop item, which kind of acts like an example shop item that you can either set up to be sold or bought. So first thing we want to do is go to our player and set up the shop view. So just as we have been, let's add to entity, create child script folder, and look for player shop view. Okay, and then we see straight away we get this sort of UI shop appear in the background with some kind of test information on it. But that's just to show us that that's sort of set up and ready, so that's quite handy. Okay, so we can see we've got a whole list of options here available to us again. So things like kind of the noise it makes when you kind of come in and out of the shop, the various messages that appear, the max amount of items. We get the shop view widget, which is our kind of HTML, and we get a global shop widget. So a couple of widgets there that start to kind of make the kind of player shop experience visible. And then what we need to do is introduce a kind of real world shop for players to go and interact with, start playing with. One thing that also came with this template, which is worth mentioning, with this package, is this currency. Okay, so if I just look at currency, we'll see that all the currency is actually a locator. So as I've said before, a locator is kind of like a representation of 3D space. So it's basically an entity which doesn't actually appear in the game, but it works as quite a nice way to be able to kind of capture data and have it usable in game. So in this case, we see that all this is a locator with, again, this inventory item spec script. So remember we had that on the gun. So this is just a script that comes with the inventory package and these other packages, but it's just a way that we can bind them together. So in this case, we've got friendly name is coins, so that's what our coin's going to be. I think let's just rename that actually. We'll call it treasure bits. So we're treasure hunters looking for treasure bits. I thought you'd appreciate that one, Adam. We've got the fact that it's currency, so we're going to check that it can stack. So obviously we don't want every time you have one piece of currency to take up one slot in the inventory. We want it to basically be a kind of a pile essentially. No grip, because this isn't something the player is actually going to equip. It's just something that's kind of visible in their inventory. Okay, and then we've got our icon asset set up at the minute to be the coin that you can pick up. Okay, so now we've shown that. Let's go back to here. Okay, so what we want to do is go to our templates again and get an instance of the shop. Okay, and in this case, the shop is just a big old vending machine. Whereabouts do you want the shop? Have you kind of got a space anywhere that you could think, Adam or Maggie?
Yeah, you see this big animal rib cage? There's an area by that.
Yeah, just...
Which might be all right. Yeah, just pretty much where you are, actually.
Yeah, we have a shop just next to this. So
sure, yeah.
There. Cool. Okay, feel free to move it if it's in your way for anything. Okay, so I'm going to interact with this and we'll see what this comes with. Nice.
A dead person.
Is that the shopkeeper?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got our shop, and we see this comes with a shop script, so we can give the shop a name. So we'll call it our treasure shop. Okay, you can allow sell, so whether you can actually sell things at this shop. And what we need to do now is perhaps introduce some shop items, but I'll get to that in a moment. I think what we'll do now is I'm just going to quickly preview again.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so without shooting each other, let's run over to the shop. Okay, and if I now interact with that, we'll see that our shop appears. So again, just with a simple install the package, add a script folder to the player, we've got this shop that appears in game. Now it's an empty shop at the moment. There's nothing there for us to sell or buy, and that's because we need to set up some of the data in the game for that to happen. Okay, so I can either click the button here or press R to close that. Okay, time to go back. So what we want to do is set up some items that can be sold and bought in the shop. So as I mentioned, we also got this shop item. Okay, so I'm just going to place one of these on the floor, and let's have a look at what we got here. So again, just like before, we've got our inventory item spec script with the name of resource. So this is just like a dummy example. Okay, we want the player to be able to carry this. So this is an example of something they can pick up and kind of actually have in their hands in their inventory. But we also have this inventory sellable script. Okay, this is something that's come with the shop package, but the shop will be looking for this script. So anything with inventory sellable script on it in the player's inventory will appear on the shop sell page to be sold for currency. And in this case, you can select your currency template. So it might be that your game incorporates several types of currency. So you could have kind of copper, silver, gold. You could have, you know, scrap metal. You could kind of have however you want to kind of define your currency in game. Then you can kind of set up various templates and have different things be worth different kind of currencies essentially. So in this case, we've got our currency, and this is going to be worth 100 of those. Right, so if I just delete this, and what we'll do to test that is if I go to the user template again, and just like we did with the gun, if I go to the defaults, okay, and I'm going to add another inventory default script. This time I'm going to call it shop, or have the shop item, and we're going to give each of us 10 of those to sell. Okay, so now we've got 10 things that we can sell. We might also want to have a look at the various things that we can buy. So let's have a look at the, let's maybe say we can buy a gun. Okay, so I'm going to go to my shop again, and I'm going to add a couple of things here. So what first thing I want to add is a shop page script. Okay, so before when I looked at the shop, you may have noticed it only had the sell option there. So if I add a shop page script to this, and we'll just call this buy. Okay, and I'm going to add a second script here, which is the, if I can find it, shop by item. Okay, so shop by item is a script which defines something that can be bought from this store. So the item template is what am I going to buy in this place. In this case, let's say it's the gun. Okay, the currency is it's going to expect our currency template, but again, you can set up different items to accept different currency. So 6 scrap metal, 7 emeralds, 5 rubies, you know, however you want to kind of define that stuff. The buy price, we'll say the guns are worth 500. Okay, and then that should be ready for us now. There's some other options here to start playing with, but what actually we can do here is we can now press, in fact, what I might just do is go to my user and remove that default gun that we had. Okay, so now we just spawn with 10 shop items to sell. Okay, and if I've done all that correct, if I press F5, okay, so you now see we've got these big apples, or they've got the apples there, and if I interact with the shop, okay, our data is now starting to drive what we see here. So we can buy, so our page was set up, 1 gun worth 500. Okay, and if I click that, it's going to tell me I can't afford that. So if I go across to sell, I can sell those. Okay, and I can now buy. So one thing you may notice is there's nothing here to tell me how many coins I have, how much of the currency I have. But I have, in that time, managed to sell those items and buy a gun. Okay, so again, fairly straightforward. I'm all in the basic mode here, so it's just configuring things available from our stock packages. Okay, so to fix the issue with the currency, I go to my player template. So earlier, when we set up our inventory view, okay, we had this option here. So I mentioned we have this show currency option. So what we want to do is to select here our currency. So if we just select that, this script now knows what to display here, or what to display kind of the currency wise, so it can get the information from that inventory spec script, and it can, you know, keep track of how many of that item we have in our inventory and display how much of that currency we have. Right, so now we have that. I think what it's time to do now is maybe start introducing some of our treasure pieces. So instead of selling those sort of stock apples, we'll create some various bits of treasure. And what we'll do here is we'll actually start to incorporate some of the scripts that have come with these packages. So once you've installed the package into your game, or once you started with the starter game and you've got these packages included already, all of the things that come with that package, so the scripts, the widgets, all those assets are available to use however you'd like. In this case, we're going to use our pickup spawner script. We're going to use our inventory item spec script to start defining some of our own item, treasure items. Okay, so if I go to meshes, and I think we've actually quite handily, we've got a tag for treasure. Okay, so this is all the stuff that we kind of think would be good treasure. So what do we think? I think a jeweled skull is a pretty good one to start with.
Sounds good.
Big necklace. Sculpture.
Haven't we got a gem somewhere?
A gem. I've got a big emerald, big jewel.
Is it? Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place one of these. Let's just place that here. Okay, so let's interact with this. I'm going to move that up off the floor a bit. Okay, so I really like this mesh actually. It's really cool. Kind of sparkly jeweled skull. Okay, so we'll call this our treasure skull. Okay, and what we need to do now is we need to go to our add to entity and just define a couple of scripts on this. So we want our inventory item spec script. So the inventory knows kind of what to call it and how to treat it. So let's say it's a shiny skull. I see someone's drones come to really closely inspect.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So it's not a currency, so this is going to be an actual item that doesn't act as currency. And what that means is it will be something that appears in one of the slots to actually be kind of equipped by the player, rather than something that's just kind of held as data. It can stack, so if you find more than one of these, we'll say that you can stack them on top of each other. In fact, no, we'll say you can't stack them, and I think that will force players to go to the shop more often and sell, which is quite good. The grip, we'll say the carry grip, so the players carry them in front of them. You can play with different grips there. Sometimes having the knife grip might hold it in their hand nicely. It's just something to sort of start playing with. Okay, so now the inventory knows how to interface with this. We also want to set up a new script for the pickup spawner script. Okay, so just like we did with the gun, we want to define a few things here that are going to make this collectible by the player and something that they can then go and sell in the shop. So a few options here. So pickup sound, we find a nice sound here. Search pickup. Yeah, I think we'll go for that sort of retro sounding pickup, make it clear you've picked something up. Use on collision. So if you don't want the players to have to actually interact with things, you can check this use on collision option so they can just run over it and select it instead. Oh, I see Adam's just, is that a light you've just attached there?
Yep. Helps to highlight them a little bit better, I think.
Yeah, it's cool. Again, so just showing the power of collaboration. We can start defining this together from, across basic and advanced mode, across, however we want to interface with Crayta, we can start working together on these things. So, okay, 6-second rotation. We'll go for a 20-second. And let's say like a 2-minute. So these should be quite rare, I think. Okay, use self as template. So what we'll do is we'll get Adam to template this up for us in a moment and make that available. So when we collect it, what we actually collect is this itself. So you could have it, for example, the pickup version of something is different to the held version, which is quite a good way of having the thing in the ground look like a chest or something, perhaps, and you run into the chest. And then what you actually pick up is, if I uncheck this, you can see that you get this pickup template option. So that says, okay, when I pick this thing up, what I'm actually going to get in my inventory. But for this, we'll kind of treat this thing that we pick up as the thing we want. Okay, enable collision on children. So if you've got quite a complex template, so lots of entities on it, it might be that the thing you collide with isn't actually the one that you want to kind of interface with. So you can have it so colliding with the children of it. So if you've got kind of lots of things sticking out of the skull, you'll make it so that the skull actually is the one that fires the on collision, and therefore the player gets to collect it. And again, we want this show on in it like we did before. Okay, so that's that one. So I think that should be ready now, Adam, for you, when you're happy with that, to go
Cool.
and get that as a template. I think what I'll do is I'll just go and add, let's add a couple more. So this one's quite a big, cool one. Let's stick that one there. Again, we'll call this treasure statue. And all we need to do is add a couple of scripts. So it'll be our inventory item spec. So we'll call this statue. Okay, it's not currency. It can't stack. We're going to carry it. And then we also want to add our pickup spawner again. And we'll go for that retro sound again. Use on collision. Rotate 6 seconds. So respawn time. Let's go for between 30 and a minute 30. Okay, and then show on a init, use self as template. Now just remember there's one script I missed off that one, Adam, if you want to add it for me. We need to set up to tell the shop that this thing is sellable. So our inventory sellable script. So as I said before, anything in the player's inventory that has the inventory sellable script is something that is ready to ready to be sold at the shop, and the shop will automatically find that and make it sellable. So
I see.
Want to go for our currency and a sell price of, I think, make yours, I don't know, like a 500 maybe. It's quite valuable.
Yeah.
I'll make this
How
one
valuable is that?
300 statue.
Okay. Skull's more valuable than a statue.
Yeah, I'd say so. That's quite a treasure. I mean, I guess
jeweled one.
Again, the nice thing here is it's all defined in properties, so you can start to tweak how that sort of behavior comes together. Let's just go for one more. So our jewel. Okay, so it's really nice again, say, to sort of chilling in the basic mode and really starting to define how this game comes together. Really kind of pulling all this sort of data together in a way kind of feels like a really nice game development tool for that. So treasure emerald, and then some scripts. So inventory sellable, it sells for currency, and its sell price. I feel like the emerald should be quite expensive actually. We'll go for like 750 on that one. And I think the way that this is going to work sort of gameplay wise is it's almost like treat the currency as a high score. So that would be kind of one thing to try and do, is just try and obviously find the more rare items. Okay, inventory item spec. So we'll call this an emerald which can't stack. And again, we'll carry that. And then finally, I'll pick up spawner script. Okay, and we'll get these to respawn sort of every 1 to 5 minutes, so they're quite a bit more rare to see. Okay, so there's another one there, Adam, if you could just template that one up for me.
Yep, on it.
The emerald and the statue. While Adam does that, I should see treasure skull and treasure statue.
And emerald now. Should have all 3.
Nice. Okay, so they're now templates that Adam's made for me, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and start placing some of these around the map.
Do you want me to delete the ones you created in the middle here?
Yeah, you can do. There we are. Let's position that one there. Let's get a statue. One works quite well already. And then a skull. Let's place one of these. So yeah, if you guys want to, feel free to grab those and start placing them around the map.
Sure, yeah. Templates. Yeah. 3 types of treasure, right?
Yeah, so there's the skull, the statue, and the big emerald. Okay, so what's next on my list? A few things go. We could probably have a quick preview in a second. Once you've placed those. Maggie, you mentioned earlier about placing some spikes. Have you managed to get around to that yet? Not sure.
We'll
if
have
she's...
to take that as a no. I haven't seen any spikes.
No. Okay, I'll go and place some.
Yeah, I'm just finishing up the graveyard. Sorry.
That's okay. No problem. I'll go place some now and show the next package. I think the platform's quite a good one. Okay, so where can we place this as a trap? Let's go for there. Okay, and then we'll just rotate these into a sort of more lethal angle. Okay, cool. So while we just finish up those, I'll install the next package, which we're hoping to show here. So we'll call this to search for death. We should see death collision. Okay, so this is going to work with the health package, and it's basically if anyone started a game from our obby, our obstacle course, then you'll know that this is the script that comes with that, which you can attach to certain things to make it that when a player collides with them, it's going to kill them. And therefore, that's going to tie into the game logic we defined earlier of when a player dies, they drop all their stuff. So to do that, I just interact with this again. And now I've installed that package. That script's going to come with it. So if I search here, I can find death collision script. Okay, and there's just a couple of options here that we can define. So death message. So that will be you were killed by spikes. Okay, and then for other message, we could, this is basically the message that other players will see. We can search and install, we can write name, so with the curly braces. Okay, and that will be a way that Crayta will pick up the name of the user that was killed by spikes. Okay, so 2 different messages being set up there, one for the player themselves and one for everybody else. So everyone else will see, Rusty was killed by spikes, whereas I would see you were killed by spikes. Okay, and then finally, in order to be able to see that sort of message and have various other messages appear if we'd want to, we just need one more stock package. So we'll search for notifications or notif. So we see notifications. So in any of the starter games, again, if you've seen any script, any sort of messages appear down the side, or sort of like a what we call a shout appear in the middle as a sort of message to players, that's another package. So we see we've got user notifications. So again, this is on the user, and the reason, kind of as I explained earlier, is why we install it on the user and not the player, is because the user's always there. So we might want to have notifications appear for users when their player isn't alive, and therefore they don't have an actual player entity in the game. So attaching this to the user is the best way to achieve that. So if we go to our user here, and again, let's create a user notification script folder. And there's nothing really to change here. We can start to define things slightly differently if we want to. So for example, have the notifications in world, but at that point we wouldn't want it to be on the user. That'd be quite a bit more advanced. So the best thing for that is to kind of install that one and leave it, and it will just work quite nicely with things. Again, if you're a more advanced player, you can take that widget and really start to kind of customize the CSS and make it feel kind of much more, defined to your game. But it works quite nicely. It's a pretty good way of portraying information to the players. So the "you were killed" message that we saw earlier will work nicely automatically with this notification package. Okay, so you ready for a quick test of what we've got so far?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, I think we're going to be good to go. Oh, still got
the apple.
Still got our apples. I just press, yep, so no errors appearing there, which is good. Okay, so I'm going to go to the shop and sell all of that, and we see that my treasure bits has appeared now next to my inventory. Okay, and then we've got a whole bunch of treasure that we can go and pick up. And you'll notice that because I said it can't stack, each time it's taken up a new slot of the inventory. Okay. And it's not actually going to collect anymore because my inventory is now full. Let's go back to the shop and sell. And then all these things are actually sellable now in the store. So sell those. I've got 2,950 treasure bits. So I can hear someone's purchased a weapon. Okay, so time to go back. So cool. There's a few things being set up there, which seem to have worked quite nicely. So again, we're starting to really craft this kind of unique game experience. It's a bit of like say treasure hunters find the stuff, sell it, all from an empty game, and again, all kind of just using our stock packages. Another one that's a really useful one that I think would be kind of really useful for a lot of people to start including in their games is our help package. So if I go to the community and search for help. Now, this is the way that we can really start to explain to kind of players as they enter the game, like how the game works and anything we want to say, maybe even like a slight change log of things that have changed recently. It's just kind of like a nice way to give players information as soon as they enter the game. Okay, so we see we get this help package here. So if I go to my user again, and I'm going to go add to entity, create child. Oh, okay. And if I just hide the library, so this is the default widget that we get. So we see it's got the sort of title and then various sections made up. So what we get with that script folder when we attach it to the player is a help view script and a help widget. But actually we get another script, which is sort of like a config script, which I'll show you in a moment, which is where we start to kind of define what these sections are. So I'm going to add to the help view script the title, and we'll call this, we'll just say introduction. Okay, and then we'll say game on at the bottom. Okay, so that will change what the button says, and that will change what we see up here. Now, what I need to do is I need to set up somewhere in the world which has the information that's going to display there. So if I go to my primitives and search for a locator, okay, and I'm going to place that locator, I'm just going to pop one down there. Okay, let's move this off the floor, and we'll call this help config. Okay, then we can also pick a color here. So if I make this one red, that's going to stand out from any other locators we've got. And again, a locator just represents 3D space. It's not an entity that really appears in the game. So don't worry about where you position it as such, as long as you can find it easily in the editor. Especially if you're in basic mode, you kind of want to have it in a place that you can walk up to and interface with. Okay, and what we want to add to this is a script. And we see, where's that gone? Okay, there is help script. Okay, so we have these two options here. So the title and the text. So the text will be, welcome to Treasure Hunters. Okay, and the text here will be, find the treasure and sell it at the shop. But be careful not to die. You'll lose everything.
Cheery.
Cheery, yeah. Nice little friendly treasure hunt game. Okay, so that should all be set up and ready. So I'm just going to go, before I preview, let me just clear those apples that we started with. So if I go to templates, user defaults. Okay, if I just remove the script, again, we're going to spawn with nothing in our hands. Okay, so I'm just going to quick preview. Okay, so nothing in our hands, so it's now a race. Oh, there we go. Introduction. Welcome to Treasure Hunters. Find the treasure and sell it at the shop, but be careful not to die. You'll lose everything. Game on. Already been shot.
You left the gun pickup template
there's
in
one
the middle.
One to go. Collect. Okay.
What's the most valuable thing? Emeralds.
Emeralds, yeah. I'm going to buy a gun. Yeah, I've got 500 treasure bits.
Aw.
I killed Adam.
Did you give yourself more health in that process? Or
No,
something?
you almost killed me. Okay, I've got my spikes. So there's an emerald right in front of the spikes. But unsuspecting players are going to run straight into the spikes, and we see that I was killed by those. And my inventory's wiped. So I've lost all my treasure bits. I've lost everything I was holding. And now it's a race to go find some more to go in there and play with. Okay, I was going to take a second to sort of appreciate some of this environment you guys have put together as well. There's quite a lot of storytelling going on here. Got my skull. Oh no. Quick, sell.
I'm sorry. Caught you out at the shop. Did you sell everything before I shot you?
Yeah, but you also, well, you should lose everything, but I think because I sold something while I was dying, I managed to just sneak 300 into the afterlife, I think, so.
I see.
I'll take that.
So you lose currency as well, do you?
Yeah, it's just a complete inventory wipe, so. Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, we could start to we can start to introduce changes to the scripts and things, or yeah, there may be more we can do, but just as kind of like a very kind of introductory level, we're just hooking those things together and creating some quite interesting gameplay there pretty quick. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go back to the preview. So we'll just have a quick look through. Well, so we've covered most packages there. There's quite a few more things we could start to cover, so we could add things like a scoreboard at the top, got various city buildings that we have, so we could, can start to really craft and sculpt the environment quite quickly. We've got the sort of various melee weapons, pistol, health package, targets, there's a whole lot of things here that we can start to play with and add, so hopefully that's given people kind of an idea of the sort of stuff that we can start to play and create with. Anything else you want to do to wrap this game up, guys, before we publish that and maybe throw it out to chat to jump in and play with us? Maybe
sure,
some music and stuff would be cool.
Oh, music's a good idea. I was just thinking all the pickups. I don't know if you did this deliberately, but they all show straight away, and it might make more sense if they sort of spawn randomly over time, so we don't have all the emeralds
Yeah.
available straight
Oh,
away.
that's true.
All the stats,
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
So
Which should be a case of going into the templates and unticking show on init,
That's
show on
true.
initialize.
yeah, I think I specifically said to do that, but actually that makes sense, doesn't it? So
Okay.
yeah, but that makes sense. Yeah. So again, the nice thing is we can quickly iterate on gameplay, and even in basic mode, I can now come in and fix those things. So let's not show on it in it, and actually just let the respawn handle when those things appear.
I'll take out that gun spawner that you had.
Okay, I think that should work. Let's go find some sounds. So let's look for jungle. Okay. I think that one might be a little bit too jazzy, I think.
Hey Maggie, I like the briefcase of cash that's fallen out of this burning plane.
Did you see the other big bags?
No. Oh yeah. Makes you feel better about the plane crash now. Seems like they were smuggling something.
Okay, I think
I was gonna.
that's a pretty good one. So I was just listening to different bits of music. So jungle pack heroic hat escape music. Quite a mouthful, but that sounds like a pretty good one. And I think some jungle ambience in the background would also work. So let's put one of those down. Okay, so to get this to sort of play across the whole level, we don't necessarily want the sort of the ranges. So I think if we uncheck 2D and uncheck ranges, that should make that sort of sound play just generally across the whole world. And then if we do the same for the actual music, so we've got the ambience with the music in the background. Okay, so that should be those two set up and ready. So should we do a quick preview to see how well those things work? So we changed the music and the pickups.
Mm-hmm. Oh, was this an introduction?
Oh. Huh.
Game on. Just realised, Russ, very minor thing, but the help text doesn't say the button prompt anymore because you changed it to say game on, so it doesn't say E or X to close. So I'll just add that back in next time you go back.
Okay.
Who put the skeleton here in a desk?
He had a little mishap on his adventure, but his car's still on, so you know it's not all bad.
The spikes are very sharp, I discovered.
Yep.
Oh, I forgot about spikes. Where are they?
Yep.
Yeah,
Round about there.
you found him.
Ah, I forgot. The skull doesn't glow, Adam. I think you need to help me with that.
Okay.
What did I miss out?
So two very major things to change. The underwater hidden skull that Maggie's revealed needs to glow.
Yeah.
And we
I
need
didn't
to
know where.
add the button prompt onto the help message.
I think we're not seeing the pickups, and I think I might know why.
Has it
can't
been a
find it.
minute yet? Did you set them all to a minute?
I think
Minimum?
some things were 20 seconds, some things were 30.
Okay.
Let's see.
Oh, do they have like an on-round start? That they
Well, I
normally
think that's what
use?
show in it should do, but then there's another option for show in it instantly. So I think you kind of keep showing it ticked
sorry.
to keep
Okay.
it. Yeah, that makes sense. So you keep in it ticked to keep it kind of off the event system.
Sure,
But
yeah.
you want to have show in it instantly off to kind of keep it on the timer. So that's right. See how that plays out. And do you want to update that prompt?
I've done the prompt, I think.
Okay.
I'm just going to add some more
And
emeralds.
I'll do the light in the skull. That was,
Cool.
you know, very, very necessary.
Okay. So in a moment, we'll say once we've just verified that those few changes have worked, what we'll do is we'll publish this game up and we'll get it ready. So if anyone who's watching in chat has Crayta available, or if not, you know, now's a good time to go and get your Pro subscription signed up and ready, or go and purchase Crayta, which is available on the Stadia store right now. And we'll share a State Share beta link in chat soon, and then you guys should be able to just click that link and you'll end up straight in game with us, which will be cool. So as I say, if you haven't already, do make sure you go check out Crayta on the Stadia store.
Okay, cool. I think I'm ready.
Yeah, you ready, Maggie?
Maggie's ready.
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. Right. So hopefully this all works now. Okay, game on.
And it now had the button prompt. Good.
Yeah.
So within about 20 to 30 seconds, we should see some pickups.
Yeah, they should start appearing.
Oh, I see one.
I see one.
No, why did we see this?
Aha, go, go, go.
Oh, stop looking at the ones I'm looking at. Have you found the only pickup so far? There's one.
There's only been one.
No.
No.
There were two, but I think Russ got both. Who's got a gun? Russ, please. Have mercy.
I can just see your big statue like jumping around the level.
Fine, I'll hold the tiny skull instead.
I'm just waiting for this pickup to spawn, but I don't know where it is. I can see in the chat a couple people seem ready for the code.
Ready for the code? Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, my pickup isn't spawned. Oh wait, I see it.
I just found my green skull. So thank you, Maggie. Cool. Okay, that's enough of that. Cool. Brilliant. Okay, so that game is ready. So if you guys want to jump back to the hub when you're ready, cool. I'll get this game published.
Yep.
I am out of there.
Same.
Cool. So publish that now is pretty quick and easy experience. So if I go to my Treasure Hunters game card and I select publish, okay, so we'll keep that as Treasure Hunters, a game about finding treasure and selling at the shop. Be careful, you'll drop everything on death. And we'll say made on stream. Okay, so made on stream. Pick a game card. I think that one's quite a good one to go with. Right, what are we saying here then? So it's a action. Definitely not cooperative.
No, not particularly cooperative, is it?
Pretty fast paced, I imagine.
Yeah. Exploration, kind of. You're exploring the environment to find the things.
Definitely not relaxing.
No.
Shooter.
PvP? Could be PvP.
PvP, yeah, I'd say it's pretty PvP. Okay, that'll do.
Romance?
Probably not romance. Jungle Expedition, how about that? Okay. So that's our Treasure Hunters is our action, fast-paced exploration shooter PvP set in the jungle.
Nice.
all made in just over an hour in basic mode with a little bit advanced here and there using our stock packages. Okay, so that game is now published. So if anyone who's already in Crayta now can go to the play page and see that is available. And for anyone else who's waiting for a code, there it is. So if I jump in, I'll share the code of me in game, see if we can get some people in with us. Okay, so everyone waiting, here's the code now. It's available on screen. and I'll get that into chat. F, so that's CRTNMR3F. Okay, there is your link in chat. Hopefully I've typed that correctly and that is available. Game on. Okay, interesting. Actually, we don't have the scoreboard set up in this one, so see how many other players end up in this game. I can see someone in the distance.
I feel like it'll start as a treasure hunt and then just turn into carnage pretty quickly.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good one to get a gun soon.
Yes.
To defend yourself.
And then just kill all the people that join as part of the stream and make them feel bad. Is that the plan?
You're nasty.
Oh, got warned badly as soon as he spawned. No mercy. I like how part of it just becomes like trying to find a good time to go to the shop. I just managed to kill Yoga in as soon as he was like stood at the shop. Ah, nice, Adam.
Yeah.
I was doing pretty well. I must have been on a couple of thousand bits by then.
The issue is the shop is so dangerous.
It is pretty. Yeah, I think I did actually write in the plan, but forgot to add like a couple more shops to stop it from being so. Never mind. Right, I got my statue. Oh wow, Phil's on a rampage again.
Oh come on, Phil.
Sell quick, sell, buy. No.
Who's bullying? It's alright, Russ, I avenged you.
Nice. I just ran to the shop and didn't have anything to sell.
This feels like the thing everyone's doing, right? No. Oh, no. It is a bit of a harsh game, isn't it?
It is harsh. I imagine actually
Try and win and
what would be quite a cool thing is if you had to buy your own ammo, to like make ammo a currency or something. That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be very cool.
Or, you know, you only give people 30 bullets and then they have to go and buy a bigger weapon. Cool. Okay. All right. Well, that's been pretty successful. I think, you know, again, we've managed to hopefully show everyone that the stock packages are there. They're quite a powerful way to create games pretty simply. You don't have to worry too much, you know, about any coding there. And even if you're just in the basic mode, all of that should be possible from the comfort of your own living room, which is really nice. So thanks again, Adam and Maggie. That's been really useful. And I'll leave you guys to just carry on playing while I jump out and do the outro. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, cool. So hopefully that's been a really useful stream for everybody. As I say, we're trying to, you know, do our best on these sort of Wednesday streams to break things down in a slightly more kind of basic way, just kind of prove, you know, the power is there to really start creating your own gameplay experiences. And so I hope that's been a pretty good, useful one. So as I said, if you're sort of someone who's in basic mode, especially if you're sort of on the, you know, on the Chromecast, you know, in the comfort of your own room on a big TV, pretty much everything you just saw me do would be possible from that. So you wouldn't necessarily be stuck to, you know, just doing the world building, but you could have a look through this, watch that stream back and start to explore some of the options available in those stock packages, which again, you know, is a really powerful way to make games in Crayta. If you haven't already, make sure you do subscribe to us here on YouTube. As I say, we've got kind of a lot of content built up now, so a lot of tutorials, doing a lot of breakdowns through the various modes and aspects of Crayta, as well as just general game creation. So if you've got to start a game and you're a little bit stuck as to where to go next, then do check out our game creation series. For example, we take things like the adventure game, the time trial, the capture the flag, and we build out kind of full games from those. So feel free to watch that, follow along, learn that way. We have all sorts of content planned, obviously coming up. Lots of live streams planned, including another one tomorrow. So if you do, make sure you subscribe and set up notifications. You'll get notified of tomorrow's stream, which is another play along stream. So we're going to have a series of streamers coming in and playing a bunch of games that have been made by the community. It was a real blast last week, so we're looking forward to doing that again tomorrow. And then we'll be back again on Friday with another stream looking at slightly more advanced things, but again, something there for everybody, hopefully. Do make sure you subscribe and look to us on Twitter and Instagram. You can find us over on those platforms at Crayta Game. Twitter is a really good place to keep up with all of the latest news and all that sort of stuff, and Instagram's a really good way to keep up with the more visual aspect, so things like the comic book series, concept art, sort of teasers of things up and coming. That's a really great place for that sort of stuff. And as always, you can find us on Discord. So if one of the mods want to throw out a Discord link, that'd be really helpful. So Discord's a really great place if you want to keep in touch with us devs. We're pretty active over there. We do our best to be kind of around most of the day, most of the working day, and sometimes into the evening. We get some really great questions there. And, we kind of really love interacting with everybody over on that platform. So do make sure you head over there and join our Discord. I think that kind of leaves us all we can do. So hopefully you guys enjoy that game and check out all the other stuff that's available right now on Crayta, which is available for on Stadia Pro or available on the Stadia store. So we'll see you tomorrow in the Streamer Play Along.